Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another daily vlog. And if you're wondering why I have the same clothing like in the vlog yesterday, it's all because I'm kind of batch recording a few vlogs. I am going to work on a project starting from tomorrow. And I'm not sure if I will be able to create as many daily vlogs as I would like, but I think there will be a couple of cool vlogs in between. And this is actually a really cool segue to not financial tip. I'm not a financial advisor, but I have been a freelance film editor for 15 years or something, and I have been in the film industry for over 20 years. So being a freelancer, I have a couple of financial routines that I implement in my life, and I think that are very important. And although I am in Germany, I think that the tax workflow or how the tax system works is different than in other countries, or in many countries it probably is a little bit different, but there is one common denominator with all countries when it comes down to taxes. You cannot get away from having to pay taxes. No matter what, you will need to pay taxes, and no matter what, your government will knock on your door and will tell you, hey, you have to pay your taxes, you have to pay them now. And I've seen a couple of colleagues or friends and acquaintances who started becoming freelancers and made the terrible mistake not to save for taxes. For me, my workflow, and again, I'm not a financial advisor, take this with a grain of salt. I'm not going to be liable for any of your financial downfall or whatever. So I'm just going to say this due to legal reasons. At least I've seen so many YouTubers saying this. I'm not a financial advisor, and so I'm just going to do the same. For me, whenever I kind of send out an invoice to a client, and that client hopefully pays that invoice, and as some of you know, I have a client who's not paying me and I have some legal issues, but that is a completely different story. But when a client pays that invoice, I always take 40% of that amount that reaches my account, my bank account. I take 40% of that and put it onto a savings account. And that savings account is specifically to pay taxes. So I always know that no matter how much I earn, 40% is not mine. I put that onto a savings account. And I think it is really important, or has been really important for me, to create multiple different accounts. So obviously you have a private account and a business account. Always separate that. That is also really important because it makes it so much easier to not get things a little bit mixed up. And more importantly, speaking of mixing up things, I have two different savings accounts. Obviously those cost, but I feel like it is important to have those different savings accounts, no matter how much they might cost you in your bank provider, bank company. So private account, business account, two savings account. One savings account is strictly only for taxes. So whenever I take out money from a business account, those 40% go into that savings account, and I don't touch that for anything else besides taxes. Then I have a secondary savings account, and I have to sneeze. It's getting warmer, so for some reason we have again some pollen and my allergy is kicking in again, although it's August. I feel like I have had to deal with pollen and allergies since February, which is a little bit annoying. Anyways, I do not have to sneeze anymore. So the second savings account is my reserves for emergencies. So I always kind of spread out when I get an invoice, 40% over there. The rest of the 60% either goes to my private account to pay rent and not rent. Rent. Everything else, insurance and stuff like that. And some of that amount goes to my other savings account, which is basically my safety net. And for me, it is, I know some people who said, oh, I don't want to pay for a second account. I don't want to kind of pay monthly for a savings account. And they have everything in one bank account. And what I've noticed is you easily get stuff mixed up and suddenly you kind of spend money that is actually for taxes, and then the government comes and says like, oh, you have to pay your taxes now, and suddenly you stand there, oh, I don't have any money because I accidentally spent it. That is why I think it is so important to split up all of your liquidity into multiple accounts, and especially into a savings account. Here in Germany, when you have a savings account, you do not get like a card that you can use to pay in shops, for example. You get a card to go to your bank and then maybe go to the ATM machine and take out money from that account. But you cannot pay bills via that savings account or via that card. So that is somewhat of a safety measure for you not to accidentally spend that money from that savings account. And also the monthly fees for those savings accounts are usually lower than your business account or your private account. So that is really important distinguishation. So put money away for savings, put money away for taxes, and put those into accounts that aren't easily mistaken to utilize to pay bills, or maybe go into Starbucks and then, for example, pay with the card that is actually intended for taxes. That would be terrible as well. So that is just my financial strategy when it comes down to money, when it comes down to dealing with invoices. And as I said, I've actually know a couple of people who had issues with taxes just because they didn't save up enough for taxes, or have kind of used that money to kind of fill up some financial holes. And I know it's tempting. I know there are sometimes situations in life where you are like, oh, I cannot pay that bill. I need money. And then you might be tempted to go to that account for paying those bills. But I feel like, and that's just my personal opinion, I feel like it is much easier to deal with, for example, an electricity bill and tell them, hey, I'm not going to pay that bill at the time because I just don't have the money. I feel like that is easier than telling the government, oh, I cannot pay my taxes. Because in Germany, you can actually go to jail if you don't pay your taxes. As far as I know, at least. Don't quote me on that. But at least if you kind of fake your around paying taxes, then you can get into jail. So the stakes are much higher if you have to deal with government and they are like, hey, pay me now. And you're like, oh, I don't have money. That could be a big issue. Yes, there are some ways where you can tell them, oh, I'm going to pay my taxes quarterly, or split that bill up. But it is, and for me personally, it's a much bigger deal having to deal with the government instead of, for example, my electricity company. So even if I would be in a situation where I don't have money to pay electricity bills or whatever it might be, I would not go to the tax account. That I just know in my mind, this is something that I had from the start when I became a freelancer. I just know that's not my money. I'm not going to touch that. It's not my money. It's not my place to take and use that money. So that is heavily ingrained in myself that I'm not going to touch that money, even if I would be in a shitty situation. I know that is hard to grasp for some of you or for some people that will say, oh, but I need to eat. I should use that money. And I understand that. But honestly, if you get to a point where cannot eat, and then the government knocks on your door. That is a scary thought, at least to me. So that is why I always kind of split up every bill that is being paid by one of my clients, split it up 4 ways: 40% tax, some to the private account to pay my rent, and then some more into my other savings account. Oh, that's 3 ways, not 4 ways. Yeah, but that's just my recommendation. If you become a freelancer, always keep in mind some money has to be saved away for taxes. And yes, some of you may say 40%, that's a lot. Do you pay 40% taxes? Sometimes, sometimes not. But I can tell you, you are better placed if you save up a little bit too much for taxes instead of the other way around. If at the end of the year you notice, oh, these are my taxes, okay, I can pay that with everything that I've saved. Oh, there's some money left. That's better. And that potentially maybe can kind of be used to shift over to your other savings account. Yeah, that's just how I deal with it. And maybe let me know in the comment section below, if you're a freelancer, how you deal with your finances, do you save up your money, how do you split it up? Let me know in the comment section below. And I hope this was a little bit helpful. And yeah, maybe if you want to see yesterday's vlog, check out the video up here. YouTube thinks that you like the video down here. And don't forget to hit the like button and to subscribe, helping me to get to 1,000 subscribers by clicking the button up here. I see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.